Hey guys, today we're going to be looking at cross-map slow orb lineups with Sage. So even if you aren't near the area of the site where the attacking team is pushing, you can still help your team. For the first lineup, you want to come into this corner, and then you're aiming the orb along the top of this line of the cloud, anywhere along this line, it's not too precise, and this one will land in mid after bouncing off the wall. This one's great to use either if the area has been called out to be smoked off, or if your mid player dies, and then it will slow the attacking push as they come up, allowing either your B player to come and hold mid, or it will just stall them if they're trying to push through the smoke aggressively. This next lineup's great if your team have called that they're pushing the B site, and as you're rotating to the B site, you can use one of your slow orbs to slow down the push. You want to come into this corner, and then you see this lighter area of cloud, you want to be aiming to the right corner of it, about here, and as you can see, it lands perfectly in the doorway there, stopping them pushing out, and as you can see, it covers this area as well, so if they do try and get this way to the closest point of cover, they're going to be in big trouble. This next orb again is great for when you're rotating from A site to B site, but it lands slightly further into sight in case that they've already pushed in. So you come into this little corner, and then you see this light patch here. You want to be aiming at the bottom of it, like this. And this just lands on the walkway here. So as they're coming through here, because they'll try and come out this entrance, and quickly push around here to get into cover, so this slow orb lands about there. It just means that they can't quickly just jump into sight, so it means if your team needs to rotate to this angle here, they can hold anyone pushing out of here. The next two spots are for helping on the A site if you're either playing in B or in mid-market, so you want to be coming into this corner here. And in this little box, you want to be aiming just on the edge of the wooden beam, and then throw the orb. If you aim any lower, you'll probably hit the beams in the air, so you need to be careful of that. And this one lands on the entrance, stopping a push into the A site. The next row, you come into the same corner again, but this time it's going to be landing in the tree area. So you see this bit of cloth with the shadow on. You want to be aiming, if this is in the middle, slightly to the left of it, and slightly lower down and throw. This one, you'll come here, and it lands against the wall here, so if they're pushing out from mid into this area, they're going to have trouble, and then if anyone's on the angle from there, or if anyone's in that area, they should be able to see them, or it will give you time to get to the door and close it. So this first spot on bind is a little bit of a cheat, but I still suppose it is cross-map, but you're going to use the teleporter to get it there. So if you throw it through this teleporter, it will go out of the doors into the entrance to Hookah. You want to be aiming about the middle, sort of at the top of the door here, for the ball. And as you can see, it lands perfectly here in this entrance, so your team have a chance either to rotate out of Hookah, or they'll just slow down the push, maybe so your team can swing anyone in this area. If you do it too low, it'll land in the teleporter, and if you throw it too high, it'll go too far back, so you need to be about in the middle like I showed. Next up are a couple of spots if you're rotating from A to B and your team calls that they're pushing B, so you want to rotate through. So for these throws, you need to come into the corner by the wall and this oil drum from here. I like this spot because it's pretty quick. If you're doing this rotation, you can quickly come here and then continue with your rotation. So we'll mark it on the map just so we know where we're going, just under the Hookah window. Go up here, and then you see this little cloud. You're coming out left like this, and then you want to throw the orb. The problem with these throws normally is this building's in the way. As you can see, lands nicely under the Hookah window, so if they do want to push out into sight, they'll be slowed, and then your team should be able to take them out as they jump out and can't move. And again, same for the next spot, but this time we're going to be slowing people coming out garden, so we use this one here, come here, we'll mark it on the map again, just so we know where we're aiming. But this one's easy, you're just aiming slightly above here, just above the ruins, throw the orb. This one lands nicely at the entrance. Again, if they want to push out of this area, they'll be screwed. So if you use both of these together, I'll show you them quickly. This will just give you a few seconds get to the back of the site, nice and easy. So one here, and look, the whole of the front of site is iced, and they're not going to be able to push in, giving you the time to get around here, or they'll either have to rotate and go through the teleporter, or go back to the A site. And then for the next few spots, they're from B site to A site, and we're doing them both from inside this little corner here. This first one, you come here, and it's around this area, and it will land in A short, so you want to do this and throw, and it will bounce off the wall, slowing down A short. So if they have tried to push up like this, even if they're in cubby, they won't be able to get out of cubby into sight. So even if you've got someone playing there or around this corner, they'll be slowed, making them a much easier target. And then the final throw for bind, this time it's trying to go to showers, again from this corner. It's easier to just do all your throws from a single corner, and then you'll know just where you want to line up. And this one, we'll put it on the minimap just so we know where we're going. You want to be aiming slightly to the left of this beam, jump and then throw the orb, like this. And if we can get there in time, look, it lands perfectly from showers, so if they do try and push out of here, they're going to be slowed, again, making you much easier kills for your team, or letting you rotate, giving you a bit of time. And again, these ones are good to do one after another, so I'll just show you that. If you want to do them both at the same time, to give you enough time to rotate to A site, come into the corner, About here, where the sky changes colour just there, and jump like this. Make sure you miss this beam. There we go, slows both entrances into sight, just giving you a few seconds to rotate and help your team here. For Haven and Split, but we'll go into that later, the throws for this map are pretty difficult because of this massive building in the middle. So as Sage, if you're playing in this B site here, from either side, from either of the A link and the C link, you can use your slow orbs to get to the other sides. So for the first lineup, you want to be coming against the door frame like this. It's annoying that you can't do it from the corner, but because of the roof above you, it blocks it. So you come up against the door frame like this. And then you see this little notch in the roof. You want to come out right, and then a little bit more right, so slightly further than the line down here. Out here, like this, and then through the orb. This should land into the entrance to site as they come from A long. Like this. Just giving your team a bit more time, or you more time to rotate into sight. And then for the second throw, again from the same place, just by the door frame, come here, and then you want to be lining up with this bit of the roof support. Come here, throw the orb, and this lands nicely. Scap. And again, if you use both of these together, as I'll just show you, it makes it very hard for the attacking team to push in, giving you time to rotate into the A side. So, like this, come here, line this one up. You want to use this one first. Throw this one. Throw this one. Slows there. Slows here. And gives you enough time either to get up into heaven or just come into the site. And it will give your team from C more time to rotate and help your team. So again, if you're playing in B site, but you want to stall a push up C long, you want to come out and into this corner. Ping it on the map just to make sure you get the angle right up here. And you want to be aiming slightly below this, so come out there. And about here. It's about in line with this flagpole as well. Like this. And it'll land. And this should just stop the enemy team pushing into sight easily. Unless they're slowed here. They might even try and push out left. But if you have someone holding the angle behind that box, they should be pretty easy targets. The next throw will be playing in C site, but we want to help the team in mid if they're rushing up mid into B. So you need to come into this corner, which is pretty dangerous if someone's holding this angle, either getting in or out of it. But if you know this area is clear, or if this bit's walled off or smoked off, you can come into this corner. And then from here, you want to sort of line up with the top of these leaves and then come to the edge like this, but not too far left. Because if you come too far left, you'll be hitting the roof here. This one lands nicely at the front of B site, slowing the push down. I mean, they can still get into this cubby, but they can't push into site easily. And it'll just give you a little bit of time to rotate to B if you need to, or your team from A to help at B. The final throw on Haven is if you're rotating through your spawn from A site to C site, and you want to slow down a push down C long. You want to come against this corner, like this. We'll ping it on the map just so we know where we're aiming, like this. Here, and then you want to come up. So you can see it's just the left of this cloud, and it's sort of the corner here. You want to aim just the left, jump and throw. This clears both the roofs nicely. And it lands just at the entrance of C long, slowing down any pushes, just to give your team a bit more time, either the people from Garage to rotate in, or the people from B, and it also gives you more time to get to site as well. Okay, and finally we're on to Split. I'll be honest, this map's not great for long range throws, because of the stupidly large buildings on it, but there's a few that I found. For the first row, we're on A ramps, and we're going to be throwing into mid. You can see on the minimap that you can air all the way to mid anyway from here, or your team might call it out. Go into the spot just by the edge of this corner. Try not to expose yourself as you do it though. So you want to come here. And then you're going to be throwing your orb over this wall. Just over the top here. And like this. This should bounce nicely off this wall. And then down into mid. And that just slows anyone pushing into vents. Or you can aim it slightly further to the left. Like this. And block the top of heaven. That. Need to be careful obviously because it might get caught on things on the wall, but this one blocks the ramp slightly lower down. For this next throw, we're again targeting the mid area. Say if you're rotating either from A to B or B to A through your spawn, and you know the attackers are doing the same thing through mid, you can bounce a slow orb off this wall, like this. And it should just bounce down nicely, like this. And it does mid quite nicely as well. So you'll come out of vents, or if they're coming out of vents or coming out of heaven trying to rotate through, it's hard to get past this area and up into B. And if they're coming from their spawn up this way, it'll again slow them down again. So maybe if you spawn a little bit late in the round, you can still help your team. For this next throw, we're going from mid to the top of A ramp, similar to the other one, but the other way around. You need to be in this corner for this throw, so I wouldn't do this unless you know mid's clear, or if you've walled off this area, which is pretty common for Sage anyway. So maybe if they're attacking mid, as well as pushing the top of the ramp. So you come here, And then you aim up like this, and then sort of out to the right of this corner, and throw the orb. Comes over and lands perfectly at the top of the ramp. So that will just stop your team getting rushed in heaven, or it will give you time to get from vents into this area. Just slows them down a little bit. Right, and the final 2 spots are around B site. They're not really over stuff, but you can get a nice throw from here into mid. You can see these 2 doorways, they line up quite nicely. If you jump and throw the orb whilst aiming sort of at the bottom of this lip, this is the top of the doorways, bounces out into mid, and it will just stop them pushing up into heaven quickly, maybe giving you time to get to the rope or whatever. And it goes onto the ramp here as well, so if you just aim it slightly further out, it can slow people coming up the ramp as well. Just be careful though, if you slow a teammate in this area, they might be pretty stuck if they do get pushed. Say if someone jumps up that way and they're stuck in your slow, they're not going to be very happy if they get dive from that. And then finally, this is a bit of a weak one, but I think it's still quite important to know. If you bank it off this wall, you can stop people rushing out of this area. And then you can bounce it off like this, and it will just slow them as they come into sight, especially if this area is walled off. Like this. You can just come here, bounce it off the wall, like this, and it will slow them down, just so they can't get into sight as quickly. So it does go through the wall. That wasn't quite a great throw, but if you aim slightly higher up, like this, bounce over the wall, and it will just give your team a little bit more time to defend this site, because if they put this wall down and rush into sight, it can be quite hard to defend from. But that will just give your team time either to shoot out the wall, or just get in better positions around sight. If you enjoyed this video or found it useful, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching!